In this lesson, we're going to talk about VBA macros. VBA stands for Visual Basic for Applications. It's the macro language that's been hiding behind every copy of Excel shipped since the mid-90s. VBA is a very, very powerful lesson. There can be an entire course on how to learn VBA. But today, we're going to learn a few examples of how to use the Excel macro recorder. There'll be two examples. The first example is a very simple example where we never move the mouse. And then the second example is an example where we have to move the mouse. And that's actually where the macro recorder usually breaks. We'll show you how to solve that problem. Now to start, we're going to go to File, Open, and we're in Lesson 6. We'll choose Macro Example 1. In one of my Power Excel seminars, someone raised their hand. They said, every day I have to go through and mark cells for audit. And the process of marking cells is a very, very tedious process. I have to choose a cell, change the font color to blue, change the font to bold, put a light blue background in the cell, and put a dark blue overline and a dark blue underline underneath each cell. Very frustrating thing. He has to go through 5 different steps. And he said, if that could be reduced to a button click, my life would be so much easier. Now, if you've never worked with macros before on your version of Excel, we need to do some steps first in order to enable macros on the machine. In Excel 2007, Microsoft has actually hidden the ribbon that we use to record macros, and we have to enable that ribbon. Go to the Office icon button and choose Excel Options. The choice is right here on the Popular tab. It's called Show Developer tab in the ribbon. Choose that and click OK. You'll see that we now have a new tab in the ribbon called Developer. On the left side of the Developer tab are all the buttons that we'll use to record code. There's also other groups for controls and XML. We won't be discussing those in this lesson. The first thing to do is go and check the macro security to enable macros on this workbook. If you've been using macros before, they change the words, but they basically mean the same thing. We need to make sure on your computer that you set it to disable all macros with notification. Here's what that means. When you open a workbook that has macros enabled, Excel will tell you in the information bar that it has disabled the macros, but give you a button called Enable Content. You choose Enable Content and your macros are able to run. This is the safest setting and the setting that Microsoft recommends. Otherwise, if you would enable all macros, which is the last choice, then anyone who sends you an email, there could be a potentially dangerous macro that would run. Now, if you have never run macros before on this computer and you're just now changing the security, it would be best if you close Excel and reopen to this lesson.